Welcome back to The Explainer. If you're the type of person who loves to strip away the noise and get straight to the foundational mental models that govern our world, well, you are in the exact right place today. We're going to deconstruct a system that dictates almost every facet of modern life, but is, surprisingly, fundamentally misunderstood by the vast majority of us who use it every single day. We're diving right into the core truth behind our personal wealth. We're going to completely strip away those everyday assumptions to examine the invisible architecture of what we actually hold in our hands and store in our bank accounts.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, the illusion of money, peeling back the first layer. So we have to start by confronting the everyday, superficial view we all naturally hold about physical currency. I want to ask you directly and take a second to truly think about this. Is money just notes or something more? From a really young age, we're conditioned through allowances and piggy banks to associate wealth directly with physical objects, right? Coins and paper bills. We build this deeply ingrained illusion around the physical items themselves. But here's the thing. Treating money as just physical paper keeps us entirely blind to the invisible architecture that actually powers our modern economy. If we just stop our understanding at the physical surface, we literally miss the whole point.
What's really interesting about this slide is how redefining money changes our entire paradigm. When we step past that childhood illusion, we realize that money is not mere paper or coins, but fundamentally a medium. And let's elevate what that word actually means in a mature economic sense. It's not just some rudimentary tool. Think of it more like an information network, or honestly, an API for societal value. The paper, the metal, the digital digits on your banking app, they're completely meaningless on their own. No way around it. They only have power because they act as a conduit for human energy. They allow us to universally translate our specialized labor into a standardized format. When you stop looking at currency as this inanimate object you just hoard and start viewing it as a dynamic medium, like a network protocol routing human time and energy across society, your entire understanding of what's sitting in your bank account completely transforms.
Which brings us to the next layer of the onion, Section 2, the evolution of exchange, looking at the past versus the present.
To really grasp the sheer power of this network, we have to look at the massive inefficiency it solved. Back in the past, under a barter system, humanity was locked down by this severe economic friction we call the double coincidence of wants. It wasn't just that exchanging physical things was difficult, it was mathematically improbable. Think about it. You didn't just have to find someone who had exactly what you wanted. That specific person also had to simultaneously want exactly what you were offering, right at that exact moment and in an exact divisible quantity. Talk about a headache. Modern money makes life very easy by completely bypassing this friction. It acts as an asynchronous, infinitely divisible ledger. It universally translates the value of any good or service into anything else instantly. It completely removes the need for that double coincidence, which is the only reason our complex global supply chains can actually function today.
Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 3, the three core functions, the utility of currency.
So how do we actually interface with this medium on a daily basis? Well, this brilliantly illustrates how the mechanics break down into three elegant pillars. First, we use it to buy things. This facilitates our daily survival and efficiently routes resources exactly to where we need them. Second, and this is where it gets profound, we receive the price and value of our hard work. This means money is quite literally a physical or digital representation of your time, your physical energy, and your intellectual effort. When you work hard, you capture a piece of your human lifespan and encode it right into this medium. And third, we use it to store our wealth. Now, this is absolutely crucial. Storing your wealth means storing your captured energy for future deployment. If you place that stored energy into an environment where it's getting eaten alive by heavy inflation or poor management, you aren't just losing numbers on a screen. You are literally leaking the life energy and time you previously sacrificed. Money is an active working tool designed to capture and faithfully hold your energy until you're ready to deploy it.
And that takes us to the final, deepest layer of this whole deconstruction. Section 4, achieving financial strength, the ultimate goal. This brings us to the practical application of this entire mental model. So the crucial point is perfectly captured by this quote from our source. If you want to be financially strong, the first thing is to understand money. Look, if money is essentially the technological medium for storing your life's energy, then a failure to understand how it works is basically equivalent to wasting your own time and effort. Financial strength isn't simply about grinding and working harder to capture more energy. It's about intimately understanding the properties of the container you're pouring that energy into. If your container is leaking because you don't understand the mechanics of inflation, or if you don't know how to deploy that medium effectively to generate its own momentum, well, no amount of hard work is going to build true financial strength. Complete comprehension of the medium absolutely must precede your attempts to master it.
At this point, you now possess a much more structured, foundational understanding of this medium. You recognize it not as mere paper or coins, but as a technological conduit designed to capture your hard work, store your life's energy, and completely bypass the economic friction of the past. So I want you to take a moment to really let that sink in. Now that you know what it truly is, how will you use it to build your strength? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep questioning the fundamentals, keep building that structural foundation, and I'll catch you in the next one.